It's clear Lunchly, just like Lunchables, misses the mark too many times to be considered meaningfully healthier, at least in my opinion.
If a parent came into my doctor's office, I would not recommend that their child drink this for lunch.
Remember when everyone clowned on DanTDM for being jealous and dramatic about Lunchly? Guess what? Turns out he was the only one actually thinking straight. The man saw the train wreck before it even left the station. While fans were busy hyping it up like it was the second coming of Prime, Dan quietly predicted every single thing that's happening now. And wow, was he right? The so-called genius collab has turned into a full-blown mess. Moldy cheese, tanked sales, and a product that practically vanished from shelves overnight. And yeah, Lunchly is still technically in some stores, but only because nobody's buying it. It's time to talk about how DanTDM called this disaster from day one. Back in September 2024, YouTube royalty, MrBeast, Logan Paul, and KSI thought it'd be a brilliant idea to drop a next-level lunch kit for kids. Because apparently, when you've got millions in the bank and global fame, your next move is processed food for elementary schoolers. Seriously? They hyped it up like it was the healthiest thing since kale smoothies, claiming it would redefine lunchtime. Please, that's like saying a slap in the face is a chill alternative to getting kicked in the teeth. Either way, you're still taking damage. They flexed their ingredient lists on camera like they were about to cure childhood obesity or something, talking about how their pizza had real cheese and how Prime had more electrolytes. Okay, cool, but who cares? Your target audience isn't pro athletes. It's 8-year-olds trading fruit snacks in the cafeteria. But of course, none of that mattered when you've got a combined audience of over 200 million people screaming your name. The hype drowned out the logic, the critics got ignored, and DanTDM's warnings got laughed off until it all came true. That's when DanTDM finally snapped. He'd had enough. He jumped on Twitter and dropped what might have been the most real no-filter tweet of 2024. He said, "What happened to YouTubers, man? I can't say anything anymore. This is selling stuff just for money. Simple. How does this help their fans?" Then he hit them with the knockout line. "This is selling junk to kids who don't know better than to trust the people selling it to them. Do better, boom! Mic drop." The tweet hit harder than a boxing match intro. The internet erupted. Overnight, everyone was talking about it. Dan didn't just come for the product. He called out an entire mindset that's taken over YouTube. He saw straight through all the shiny PR talk, fake healthy labels, and influencer smiles. He said out loud what millions were secretly thinking but too scared to post, that Lunchly wasn't about helping kids. It was about stuffing wallets. 3 grown men decided to cash in on their most loyal, youngest fans. And Dan wasn't having it. Now, you'd think with all their fame and experience, they'd handle a little criticism like adults, right? Yeah, no chance. They lost it. KSI was the first to crack. He quote tweeted Dan's post with a picture of Dan's old toy line and wrote, "Looks like crap to me. How does this benefit your fans? Like, really? Comparing kids' toys to processed lunch meat?" That was his big comeback. Dan's toys were Minecraft merch, fun stuff that actually connected to his content. Lunchly was just 3 guys slapping their faces on plastic trays and calling it innovation. But KSI thought he dropped a gotcha until Twitter lit him up instantly. Fans flooded his replies, dragging him so fast it was like watching a live roast. The crowd made it clear, this time, DanTDM wasn't the one taking the L. People started digging deeper. And that's when the truth came out. Fans pointed out that Dan's old toy line wasn't even his personal cash grab. It was a one-time sponsored deal from years back. He didn't own it, he didn't profit long-term, and he definitely wasn't pushing it like some money-making empire. Meanwhile, KSI's got a whole empire of his own. Toys, energy drinks, snacks, and now this busted lunch kit. The hypocrisy, off the charts. Dan didn't even bother clapping back. He didn't have to. The internet handled that for him, and oh, they handled it. Then, of course, Logan Paul had to step in. Because when is there chaos without him showing up? He jumped online talking about how he and his friends spent their lives building their brands and now want to build businesses. He even said, "Nobody complained when Lunchables allegedly had lead in them, but now everyone's mad when we make a better version." Like, what? Logan, my guy, you are not the hero of this story. This is the same dude who ran Crypto Zoo, where people lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. The same guy whose Prime drink got sued for misleading caffeine claims and containing forever chemicals. But sure, tell us more about your commitment to quality. The irony couldn't be louder if it had its own soundtrack. And the funniest part? Logan tried to end his rant with, Then don't eat it, like that somehow proved a point. Guess what, Logan? That's exactly what people did. They didn't eat it. Sales tanked, shelves stayed full, and Lunchly turned into leftovers nobody wanted. The product flopped harder than one of his old apology videos. Now let's get into the juicy part, because this story's about to get even messier. And here's where DanTDM was proven right in the most spectacular, jaw-dropping way possible. Because it turns out Lunchly wasn't just a bad idea, or it was straight up a terrible product. Like next level awful. Real doctors started stepping in. Dr. Mike and Dr. Brian both made videos tearing this thing apart. They broke down the nutrition labels like forensic experts, and wow, it was brutal. Dr. Mike even said, if a parent came into my office, I would not recommend their child drink this for lunch. Ouch, that's game over right there. Remember that whole more electrolytes claim they wouldn't shut up about? Yeah, turns out it was just fancy talk for extra sodium. They were basically giving kids salty sports drinks and pretending it was healthy. And let's be real, no kid sitting in math class needs electrolytes unless they're secretly training for the Olympics between lessons. Then came the calorie count drama. Lunchly had way fewer calories than what the USDA actually recommends for a school lunch. So, what does that mean? Either kids were under-eating and dragging through the day hungry, or they were scarfing down multiple packs and overloading on sodium. Either way, that's not a health win, that's a nutrition nightmare. Dr. Mike's final verdict? A polite but devastating absolutely not. But wait, it gets even nastier. Remember how they brag nonstop about using real cheese instead of that cheese product Lunchables uses? Yeah, that backfired hard. Within weeks of release, people started posting pictures of moldy cheese, and not the tiny speck kind. We're talking full-on fuzzy green colonies like something straight out of The Last of Us. Parents were uploading videos opening fresh lunch kits that were properly refrigerated, nowhere near the expiration date, and still finding science project level mold inside. It was horrifying. Even Rosanna Pansino got involved, posting proof that these kits were going bad faster than influencer apologies. It was the kind of PR disaster you can't scrub off, no matter how many brand statements you post. Rosanna Pansino, who's basically been on a one-woman mission to expose MrBeast's every flop, decided to open one of the Lunchly kits on camera, and what she found was straight up nasty. The kit was supposed to be good for another 2 months, but there it was, moldy cheese staring back at her like it had a whole personality. She posted it on Twitter, calling it disgusting and unsafe for kids, and that post blew up instantly, but she wasn't the only one, and not even close. Within days, reports started flooding in from all over the country. Parents were finding the same thing: moldy cheese, spoiled meat, and lunch kits that looked like they'd been left out during a heat wave. This wasn't a one-time factory mess-up, it was a full-blown pattern. The internet, of course, did what it always does, turned the whole disaster into a meme. The phrase, "I like my cheese moldy, bro," became the ultimate roast line. Everyone was clowning on Lunchly, and honestly, it was deserved, because this wasn't just embarrassing, it was dangerous. Kids could have actually gotten sick from this stuff. Parents had trusted these influencers with their kids' lunches, and what did they get? A science experiment in plastic wrap. Lunchly wasn't feeding children. It was growing its own ecosystem. And how did the Dream Team, Logan, KSI, and MrBeast, handle this absolute health nightmare? Did they issue a recall? Did they apologize to families who spent money on spoiled food? Of course not. Logan joked about it, literally saying, "Yeah, I like my cheese moldy, bro. Like, that was funny." KSI laughed along too, as if poisoning your audience was just part of the content grind. Meanwhile, MrBeast stayed completely silent. 9 whole days of nothing while parents were finding mold-covered cheese with his face printed on the box. When he finally spoke up, it was with the most robotic PR-scripted statement ever. "We're investigating supply chain moisture issues." Translation: we have no clue what went wrong, but please forget about it soon. And that's how the downfall of Lunchly officially began. Silent, swift, and messy. Stores started quietly pulling the kits off shelves without saying a word. There wasn't any flashy recall or big public statement, but leaked Walmart emails told the real story. They'd issued what's called a voluntary quality hold, which is just corporate code for "this product is a total disaster. Get it out of here before it ruins our reputation." Just like that, the so-called lunch revolution was over before it even began. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where things get real satisfying. Lunchly pulled in around $92 million in its first year. Sounds impressive, right? Until you remember that the creators were bragging about hitting $1 billion in sales. Yeah, they missed their target by over $900 million. That's not just falling short, that's face planting straight into the pavement. By the third quarter of 2024, things went from bad to catastrophic. Their revenue had dropped by 64% compared to the previous quarter. For a new product with that much hype and influencer backing, that's basically a death sentence. Even Amazon started quietly pushing Lunchly listings to the bottom of search results, hiding them under random store brand crackers. Whole Foods didn't even bother stocking it, and Kroger, they dumped the leftover boxes into clearance bins, right next to dented cans and expired granola bars. Talk about humiliation. The product that was supposed to change the lunch game couldn't even survive 1 year on shelves. The hype evaporated, the memes took over, and Lunchly became just another embarrassing footnote in influencer history. And through it all, DanTDM's stayed completely silent. Not a single follow-up tweet, not one "I told you so." He just dropped the truth once, watched everything crumble exactly like he predicted, and walked away like a total boss. No drama, no victory laps, just cold, quiet satisfaction while the empire fell apart in real time. Just silence. That's all DanTDM gave while the chaos proved every single one of his points, loud and clear. He didn't need to say another word because the downfall spoke for itself. He was right about MrBeast, right about Logan Paul, and right about KSI. He saw through their shiny branding, their fake health claims, and the PR smiles. He called out 3 massive influencers for what they really were. Businessmen trying to squeeze money out of their youngest, most loyal fans with a product that helped no one but their own wallets. And the wild part, he did it when no one else dared to speak up. The Lunchly disaster didn't just expose a bad product, it revealed something deeper. Fame and influence can take you pretty far. They can pack store shelves, build hype, and flood social media with fake excitement. But they can't buy trust, they can't fake quality, and they definitely can't hide mold. Eventually, parents start flipping those boxes over, reading the ingredients, and seeing the truth, literally staring back at them in fuzzy green form. Once that happens, no amount of hype or followers can save you. And that's exactly what happened here. Lunchly is basically dead now. Sure, the website's still limping along, and if you dig deep enough on Amazon, you might find a random kit or two, probably sitting in the same warehouse corner since launch day. But compared to that billion-dollar dream they bragged about, it's over, expired, pun absolutely intended. Now the once unstoppable trio has gone quiet, pretending none of it ever happened, hoping the internet forgets. But guess what? We don't forget. And those old tweets from DanTDM, they're still out there, aged like fine wine. He dropped one truth bomb, stepped back, and watched everything unravel exactly how he said it would. And that was the moment someone finally said what everyone else was too scared to. DanTDM spoke up, and the truth hit harder than any promo campaign ever could. So next time an influencer slides onto your screen with a shiny new for the fans product, remember Lunchly, remember the moldy cheese, the fake health claims, and the lies they tried to sell as innovation. Remember how fast the hype faded and how DanTDM was right from the very start. Because this wasn't just a bad business move. It was a wake-up call, a reminder that influence doesn't equal honesty, and fame doesn't mean integrity. When your audience is full of kids, that responsibility matters, and these guys forgot that until it cost them everything. But hey, I want to know what you think. Do you believe MrBeast, Logan, and KSI actually learned anything from this mess? Or are they just plotting their next overhyped flop behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts down below, hit that like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the breakdown. And of course, leave a comment letting me know what story you want covered next. I'll catch you in the next one.